This video is brought to you by Keeps.com. Stay tuned to find out more.
So what do you like the most? Acting, writing, rapping, stand-up, or you just want to do everything?
I don't look at it as everything. I just want to make stuff. I don't want to be a rapper. I think when Kanye talks about like the glass ceiling being there of like I can't do anything because they see me as a rapper. Like that's my superpower that people don't see me as.
The term jack of all trades, master of none refers to people that pursue a wide range of interests instead of focusing on one specialized area. In the world of hip-hop, we've witnessed many evolutions from artists that made the mastery of their music their aim, while others have opted to try to multitask and make their presence felt in other industries, often with varying degrees of prosperity. Take Kendrick Lamar for example, a specialist who spilled his overflowing creative juices into honing his own skill set as an MC. Kendrick's commitment to his craft is such that he's now recognized among the greatest rappers of all time, with projects such as Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn widely considered to be classic albums. As if that wasn't enough for him, Damn even made Kendrick the first rapper in history ever to win the Pulitzer Prize for music. And where a jack of all trades will be trying to spin multiple plates at the same time, Kendrick's focus on his lane paid off and ensured that he's forever etched into the history books, meaning that now he's free to dabble in other areas and is doing so with his mysterious creative agency, PG Lang. On the other hand, Drake is an example of an enormous rapper who continues to flourish in spite of the jack of all trades cliche. Since coming to the fore in the late 2000s, Drake has proven that his talent can make him a gladiator in many arenas. He first arrived in the entertainment world as an actor on the teen TV series Degrassi: The Next Generation. But where that proved to be a limitation for others, his on-screen roles didn't prevent Drake from becoming the most successful rapper in the world, making R&B songs worthy of weddings, building OVO into a global music, apparel, and events brand, and producing critically acclaimed TV shows like Top Boy and Euphoria. But in the case of Glover AKA Childish Gambino, he's made a career out of taking the jack of all trades, master of none debate to a whole different level. As no matter which form of mainstream media you consume, there is a version of it readily available that has been created by Childish Gambino. And while this has been key to his success, it's also led to debate over whether his need to fulfill every creative whim has prevented him from reaching his potential in any one field. Although he'd secure writing credits on the beloved comedy 30 Rock before he'd even completed his studies at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, the then 23-year-old Donald Glover wasn't content with one dream job. Instead, the next decade or so would see him stride into as many arenas of the entertainment world as he saw fit. From stand-up comedy to DJing, acting, and rapping under the Wu-Tang name generator birth moniker of Childish Gambino, Glover has gone from the self-professed only black kid at the Soojin concert to become the toast of several art forms. As a result of the awards and adoration that's come his way, the 37-year-old is in elite company. Governed by desire to make art that stands the test of time, Glover and his royalty collective now have their pick of the projects. And across everything from Clapping for the Wrong Reasons and Atlanta to the Rihanna-assisted Guava Island and his Pharaohs app, Gambino has refused to shackle himself to one medium and used the widest inventory that he could to bring his visions to life. However, it's important to remember that where Glover has had plenty of triumphs, he hasn't always knocked it out the park. After all, he may have been lauded for This Is America and all of the effort and money that he plowed into both the track and its powerful visuals, but its release was only 7 years removed from the days where his projects were netting a 1.6 on Pitchfork. So I want to take a quick break to thank our friends at Keeps.com. For anyone that's endured a battle with thinning or receding hair, you know that it can take an immense toll on your self-esteem. Even if it hasn't affected you as of yet, 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. As it turns out, the best way to prevent that is by getting ahead of the problem. Keeps excels at doing just that, retaining the hair that you have, and in some cases, promoting growth within the 100,000 men that have put their faith in the product. And in most cases, results will begin to surface within just 4 to 6 months. Years ago, taking action against hair loss will come with the added stigma of having to go to the doctor's office, get signed off on a prescription, and agonizingly wait in line for it. Courtesy of Keeps, all of these additional stresses have been banished, as this consistently 5-star rated product will be delivered right to your door every 3 months. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/HHM or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. Now, let's get back to the video. Since Atlanta hit screens and caused the whole viewership to fall in love with the world of Twin Peaks with rappers that Donald strived to create, there's been a tendency to act as though Donald had already conquered the world of hip-hop before he branched out, when in actual fact, he was still fighting to be taken seriously in hip-hop circles, even when records such as Because the Internet and the Gangsta Grillz-inspired Stone Mountain showed notable improvements. But rather than double down and flesh out his credentials in music, Gambino was always fixated on the next thing. And as Community co-star Joel McHale so vividly illustrated in an interview with Big Boy TV, this restless creativity has always drawn his mind elsewhere, even when he's immersed in one project.
When I first met him and you first started seeing him performing, you realized how special he was. You would see him on his laptop in between takes with his headphones on. You could see him doing the beats and working out lyrics, and you'd be like, oh, what's that little fun side project you're working on there?
Right from the outset of Glover finding stardom as a regular in a sitcom, he was already glancing over the fence at another world. And as McHale's comments lay bare, it was a decision that was met with almost immediate dismissal as just a hobby that he was dabbling with. Likewise, when his career as a musical artist finally began to pop off to the point that he could bring a rising star on tour with him, his focus turned once again as he took himself out of the moment in order to place another iron in the fire.
Donald's 10 years older than me. Like, I didn't know about the music industry when I first met him.
Have you been blown away in the ways that he's grown recently?
Absolutely. Donald was talking about making a show for FX before he told me it was called Atlanta or any ideas for it when I first went on tour with him. He's my mentor.
Although revered by his peers for his ability to switch up and redirect himself in another direction, there is likely a degree of relief there too, as by continuing to alter the bearings of where he's headed in the musical or artistic sense, he can never truly make any lane of his own. In fact, just as he'd ingrained the name Childish Gambino into the public consciousness, he was already talking about putting it out to pasture.
I stand by that. I'm really appreciative of this. I'm making another project right now, but I like endings, and I think they're important to progress. I think like if a lot of things had like death clauses in them, we wouldn't have a lot of problems in the world, to be honest, you know. So I think endings are good because they force things to get better. So,
as his studio time has carried on over the years, Glover experimented much more with singing, culminating in his Grammy-nominated album Awaken My Love, which featured the 5-times platinum single Redbone. As a result, the man that once been outcast by the music world had now brought home the Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance and wanted to escape some of the more questionable lyrics that he delivered under the Childish Gambino umbrella. Given the success of Redbone, many artists would have further experimented with this sound, but rather than continue with the funkadelic-inspired sound that netted him his greatest success, Donald turned it around once more, in doing so, finding himself with an even greater watershed moment on This Is America. Alongside the track, taking the simplicity of trap music and flipping it on its head in order to make a passionate statement about life as a black man in the United States, its Hyro Murai-directed video went even further and inspired important conversations around race and This time around, he won 4 Grammy Awards in every category he was nominated in, including Best Music Video, Best Rap Sung Performance, Song of the Year, and Record of the Year. In doing so, Glover finally found himself in a position that he'd always longed for, no longer vying for an ounce of respect in hip-hop, but seizing the agenda and placing himself at the forefront of the genre in the way that he believed that he could back in 2014.
I'm the best rapper, definitely top 5. If these other rappers think they both not alive, I cut their head off. That's every rapper living. That's Kendrick, that's Drake, that's Schoolboy, that's everyone.
Stood at the top of the industry, and with Coachella headline slots under his belt, fans would be forgiven for believing that coming off the back of This Is America, Donald would be looking to release his definite statement that would encompass everything he'd done to reach this point, particularly as he'd already claimed that whatever came next was the final Gambino album, while Young Thug had hinted that he was involved in something crazy. Instead, what would have been Gambino's swan song was a more lightweight collection that was initially released for 12 hours before disappearing from the internet. Not to mention an album that felt more like a collection of demos that he crammed in, among other things, rather than the project that fans had hoped for. And with this lack of direction came a sense of confusion from critics over his intentions, or if, as his history has taught us, the finished product was hampered by Glover trying to cover too many bases at once.
I'm not really sure what Donald wants us to do with or think about this project, honestly, because most of the time it's bland, derivative, underwritten, weakly produced, and that's when the songs aren't based on ideas that need to go back to the drawing board from the start.
Having left a sour taste in many fans' mouths with 3:15:20, someone who was solely focused on crafting music will look to right this wrong immediately. But for a jack of all trades such as Glover, making amends for this slip-up would need to take a backseat to the filming of Atlanta Season 3 and 4, his starring role in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and in all likelihood, a whole host of other projects. Not content to just be a rapper, actor, or anything in between, Donald Glover sees himself as an artist before he'd place himself in any other category. And when you consider the layered and abstract world that he'd created with Atlanta, the success of some of his music, or the inspiration that his career path provides to others, he should be commended for it. By playing the role of a jack of all trades, Donald is in a space where not everything he touches could turn to gold, and some of his losses may linger for a while. However, there are things he can do that others wouldn't have the strength or conviction to even try. As we've seen throughout his career, Donald Glover isn't afraid to fail. In fact, trial and error has been a pivotal part of the process. And while his approach may mean that he'll never be able to reside at the top of any one field for a sustained period of time, his willingness to do it all will be a legacy in and of itself.